to taking care of the guests, which is really what we want to do. This is all in preparation for getting the guests to come in. I mean, if you're talking about like 1,000 worshipers or 10,000 employees that are going to go work on the assembly line, this is where the rubber meets the road, because the risk of contamination and spread is high as you increase the closeness of people, especially in a closed space. I mean, think of what happened in New York. People that didn't know they had the disease got on an elevator, coughed, got out of the floor, another person came in, got exposed to the COVID cloud, and all of a sudden he's sick. So same thing on the subway. So when you take a bunch of people and you smush them into a closed space and the air isn't moving rapidly enough, that cloud forms and then all hell breaks loose. So the object of the game is to get your guests cleaned up and into the facility safely. And there we need the check-in desk.
I like the check-in desk. So there will be keys that you will ask them when they check in.
Good. And with the staff trained on doing these questions, they should be able to go out like a little army and get your guests lined up and go through them and make sure that they all understand that if they are sick, or if they have people in their home that are sick, or if they have contacted or connected with a person who is sick, that they really shouldn't go into the facility.
Right.
Not now. Okay.
Or if they have a fever.
Yep. And that's if you could imagine a desk that is manned by people that have the authority to prevent a person from going into the facility, that they would have a temperature probe. And these are no touch, 2 seconds, and boom, you know whether they've got a fever or not.
And requesting ahead of time that people not bring a lot of like backpack, purses, things with them would make it simpler too.
Absolutely. And we were talking about UV light. Now, UV light in a plenum in the HVAC can be any UV light because it's hidden. But once you start using UV light to disinfect people, then you can cause skin cancer if you're using a standard UVAB light source. So there's a new type of UV light called far UVC light. And this is high frequency and able to kill the COVID virus without causing skin cancer or cataracts. So they have them in wands, and you can just wand a purse or a cell phone. Believe me, the cell phones are notorious for carrying stuff. And a person could go through the screening process and be wanded in almost 2 seconds or 3 seconds and knock down that COVID if it's on their person. So having a check-in desk and using the latest technology, as well as questioning and keeping an eye on things, helps prevent the facility and the staff from being hurt.
So does that mean that the congregation's going to worship with masks on?
Initially, that's true. Now, the good news on the horizon is that our testing is increasing substantially, and we're getting it out into the community. There are 2 types of tests. One is an antigen test that tests for the presence of the COVID virus. Okay, that proves that you're infectious. Okay, so if you have a positive antigen test, stay home and call in or watch the church online. This is something that is done usually with a swab, back of the throat. They're getting to the point now where it's sensitive enough. If it's just a swab in your mouth or front of your nose, they don't have to go all the way in the back. That's good. They put it into a machine. Abbott has a great little toaster-sized machine that you put the thing in there, and 5 minutes later you find out if it's positive or not. I mean, that is a really cool instrument, and I'm praying that that goes out into the church so that we have the ability to do community screening, because that's where the action is right now. If you're antigen positive, that means you're infectious. And here's an interesting thing. They've just shown about 100 people over in South Korea that had the coronavirus, have antibodies, and are still infectious. In other words, they're carriers. So it's not as simple as it looks. But I want to share with you that the other test is an antibody test. The antibody test is a serologic or blood draw test, And there you see if you have formed antibodies to the COVID virus. Typically, it's a 14-day course. Towards the 10th day, the antibodies start to form. By about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you've got plenty of antibody, and that usually means that you're non-infectious. So that is once you have a positive antibody test showing that you're immune, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And you don't have to, you can blow off this video. I mean, you're done. You made it through, you know?
Unless you are conforming to what the rest of society is doing right now in this initial stage, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing, you know, if you come into contact with someone that blows on you and you're carrying it, you know, someone could give you a hug and you could spread it. So you just have to be careful. This is an important time to be careful and to protect yourself and your staff, protect your facility, and then protect your guests.
So this is filmed April 17th, 2020, and new things are coming. Updates will be happening from the CDC and all the people, and vaccine, we need to pray that in as fast as possible.
That's right, and treatments are really improving. There's a new drug out. Gilead's just announced a preliminary result of its trial showing that people on respirators come off respirators within 24 hours of receiving this treatment.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. So I believe that we are overcoming as we speak. And that's a blessing from God. And I want to add that we have been praying for you and praying for our country. And I believe that the literal millions of prayers that have gone before God over this are being heard. And we're seeing Him act. And I want to reinforce the fact that as Christians, we look at 1 Chronicles 7:14, and we look at the things that we need to repent of and to take on in terms of works, so that our faith combined with our works will really squish pandemics. With the favor of God, pandemics will be no more. And we really believe that.
Yes.
So this is our gift to you guys. Have a safe life. We love you.
Yes, and Uncommon Provision on social media, Uncommon Provision app at the App Store, uncommonprovision.com. And Dean has a printed paper copy of information, and we'll be adding updates as well.
Sure, just contact us by email, dfoster@uncommonprovision.com. And I want to say that Uncommon Provision isn't us. Uncommon Provision is his uncommon provision in our lives. So we're praying for His uncommon provision to reopen the church and the community, and all of the small businesses that have been smushed will be back to health and vibrancy in short order.
We love you. Thank you.
Thanks.